Your Earl impression sounds like Donald Trump. It's great.
Tremendous
They're
dinosaur.
indiscernible characters.
We have the best dinosaurs.
I'm the Megalosaurus.
Megalosaurus, please.
Honeys, we're home.
Hello, and welcome to episode 17 of Sinclairity, a dinosaur's tale. I am your host, We're Gonna Need Another Timmy, along with my co-host.
I'm Ben Hand Up Me. I love the way, like, you can't see this at home, but Tim is kind of rocking back and forth right now while doing the intro. It's a little adorable. I can't help. I need to point that out. And today we have a special guest host with us in the studio, in the virtual studio. And it is Adal Rifai from Hello from the Magic Tavern. Hey Riddle Riddle. Are you still doing the Siblings podcast?
We haven't recorded an episode in maybe a year and a half. We have plans to continue, but my sister does not have any podcast equipment, so we'll remedy that one day. But for now, we're on hiatus, I like to say.
Okay, cool. Yeah, well, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you so much, and please, for the rest of the episode, please call me Scottle Rifai. I've recently got really into ska because of you two, so.
Okay, cool. I'll send you some Real Big Fish records.
Thank you so much.
And some Hawaiian T-shirts like Carson Daly used to wear in 1986.
I always feel like that band is like, it sounds like a little kid talking. Like, oh, buddy, what'd you catch? Real Big Fish. Like,
it's Real Big Fish is probably my least favorite ska band because I feel like that was definitely the era of like frat boy ska listeners. Like. I don't know. I was 7 in 1997, but when ska broke mainstream, it seemed like a lot of the people listening to it were like khaki short dudes in backyards
who loved the movie Basketball.
Yeah, just avid basketball fans.
Yeah.
Just love the beers.
Well, so welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Usually I know we talked a little bit before we started recording, but what are some of your memories of watching dinosaurs when it was on television?
You know, we did as a family, we used to watch it. I don't have a ton of memories about like specific episodes. Obviously, I remember Not the Mama is like the earworm or brain virus that gets stuck in your head because they had that happen reoccurringly. But
cash cow.
Yeah, I just remember being like, this is maybe the first movie experience I ever remember, or like the most powerful like sort of movie going experience was watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first movie that came out in like 90 or 91. And that blew my brains out. So when this show came out, I was like, Mom, Dad, we have to watch this. It's like the Ninja Turtles but with dinosaurs. I guess Turtles is dinosaurs, so maybe that's redundant. But it's like the same type of the puppets look great, like they are kind of terrifying. But I remember watching it. I remember loving it. But I don't remember any sort of plot line, storyline, anything at all.
Because that was one of the things is a major inspiration for the show was Jim Henson saw what they were able to do in the Ninja Turtles movie with those puppets.
Are you serious? I had no idea that was a one-to-one.
It's the same crew.
Yeah.
Oh, Henson did the Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he
originally didn't want to do it because it was going to be violent, but they were like explained it's cartoony violence, like nobody bleeds out in the Turtles.
Well, Shredder gets put in a trash compactor, or like a garbage compactor.
Yeah, but that's just he had that coming.
Maybe the most terrifying. There's two images that from my childhood that like haunt me. Whenever I close my eyelids, I scream and see them. One is the dog dragon from Neverending Story, which I remember. Yeah, my mom said she had to take me out of the theater because I was screaming, crying. And then 2 is when Splinter in Ninja Turtles is like hung up in chains. Like the foot capture him and the turtles go to rescue him and he's hung up in chains. He has like caked on blood and he's like kind of wet and his eyes are watery. That puppet is like nightmarish.
It's weird that you chose My Sexual Awakening as the terrifying one. No, yeah. So
If
even
I ever-
Robbie Sinclair is like the same puppet guy is inside him as in like Raphael or Michelangelo. I forget which one.
Whoa, so he's a martial artist?
I mean, he doesn't show it at any point, but he has a mohawk and a Letterman jacket, so I'm sure he kicks ass.
What? Weren't all the guys who were in the suits were martial artists, right?
Depending on the scene, it's just
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's similar to like with dinosaurs. It's like 3 people essentially per puppet in a way. They have somebody who works the motors in the head. They have somebody who gets in the costume, and then like depending on the scene, sometimes people have to switch out costumes and switch out actors. It's really a lot. It was the most expensive show in its time slot to shoot, like back then.
See, Ben, I guess wrongly assumed that anybody who's inside a costume is a martial artist, because people are gonna fuck with them. So I assume like the guy inside.
Yeah.
I assume Anthony Daniels is a martial artist. Whoever the guy who plays Chewbacca, Peter something.
Elmo.
Someone
I mean, Elmo just holds a puppet, I guess.
which ironically, Elmo is Baby.
Yeah, Elmo is Baby.
Same voice?
Both.
Yep.
Yeah, and puppeteer.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I can't remember his name right now. Kevin Clash.
Let me work it out.
Yeah. Elmo loves you. Not the mama.
Yeah, same guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can't believe we just landed that guest spot.
Touche.
Kevin Clash.
It's Kevin Clash, everybody.
It's great to be here. I'm tickled to be here.
But
So yeah.
So wait, what, Tim? You got something?
I was gonna say, so you remember the show, but you just don't remember a lot of the plots or anything like that. Like,
Yeah, it's like that. What's the old adage? Is like people. I can't even remember the adage. It's like people people will just remember how you made them feel. Like they don't remember specifics or whatever what you do. They just remember how you made them feel. And that's I feel like how Dinosaurs was. It's like a lot of books I read where I'm like I couldn't tell you the character's name. I couldn't tell you like the intricacies of the plot, but I remember like this is a great read, you know. So I feel like same with Dinosaurs. It's like I remember the sort of visceral reaction to it. I remember how it made me feel as a kid, which was delighted. But I don't remember a single plot line or any tertiary characters outside the sort of nuclear family.
that's perfect for this show. Because I love when people watch the episode and they're like, what the fuck is this show? Like, how do they watch it? Like, we had our friend Woody was just like, he thought we were making, like, trying to make fun of him because of the episode we had him watch. But honestly, it was just like, no, this is just the episode that was coming
typical
up.
episode.
Well, that specific one we watched with Woody was Robbie is experimenting with herbivorism, or however you would say that, and it's essentially a metaphor for a while. It's a metaphor for being gay, then it's a metaphor for being a vegan, then it's a metaphor for being like into smoking weed and shit. Like, it makes no sense.
What a weird path for the first analogy to be being gay. Like I feel like the one-to-one is veganism, and then the subtext of that would be anything else. That's so weird.
It's very weird, but it was just funny because Woody is vegan straight edge, so he didn't know what to think. We thought we were fucking with him. Like,
so the first level of the storyline, the first sub level is eating ass. The second sub level is eating grass, and then what was the third one? Was
wait,
smoking
how do we
weed.
fit gas into this?
Yeah, blowing gas, right? Is that what you meatheads say? Blowing gas.
I don't. Anyway, I what's funny is that episode does start with Baby eating his own tail, and then ends with that too. Which, like, I was reading some review that was translated from another language where this girl was like, "Interesting, perhaps the baby is gay too," and I was like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
It's a real Ouroboros eating his own ass.
Yeah, that's what we said too. I was like, "What?"
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
So-
it was an Ouroboros of an episode.
That should be
ridiculous.
instead of the "this is not a pipe" painting. It should be a picture of Sinclair saying, "This is not the mother."
I've been making a bunch of weird ass memes about dinosaurs since we started this. I mean, like, for one, look, I have this pillow here. This is great podcasting audio.
my
Is
God.
this pillow? I'm sure where Fran is like doing this pose, like she just had to do it to him.
That rolls. Fantastic.
Yeah. So
Oh, it's a great show though.
So
It's bad also.
I guess we could kind of get into the episode.
Well, we should introduce what it is and which
Yeah,
episode we're doing and
Go
stuff.
ahead. That's what I was gonna say.
Okay.
So yeah.
So today we're doing season 2, episode 9, which is Unmarried with Children. I love like the trivia on IMDb was like, this is a reference to the show Married with Children.
Oh, cool.
And I was just like, oh,
I didn't even put
like
that together.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those really above. It's like Big Bang Theory. You gotta really be a Harvard grad.
Well, the whole show. Watching this one episode you guys asked me to watch was like opening a time capsule that like whisked me back to being 10 or 11. And it was so funny to be like, oh my gosh, as a kid, I never would have pieced this together, but it's 100% an homage of like Married with Children, All in the Family, The Honeymooners, like that, the Venn diagram where those overlap. That's the set. The dinosaurs is the set. Cause the one friend is basically, Norton. The dad is like the schlubby Al, what's his fucking name? Al
Bundy.
Al Bundy, right? So it's basically they just ripped off those and even the daughter is the daughter from All in the Family. So it's just a wild ride of to see that and put it all together.
Wait, is that Sally Struthers?
Yeah, the daughter.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
I didn't even realize.
Yeah, I guess like at some points I'll realize that like this. I'll remember this is probably an intentional satire of sitcoms. While it's like. Because sometimes I'll just be like, this is a little bit like cliche or not really thought through. And I'm like, it's probably self-aware to an extent. That's probably part of the point.
Yeah.
Or I'm just seeing way too far into it. Because most TV before like the 90s wasn't great for in general. Yeah, shows like Soap was really good and like
Taxi, Cheers.
Yeah. It just seems like a lot like after like The Sopranos came out, like people were like, oh, TV can do things. Like we can like make great television.
Yeah, Sopranos ushered in like prestige TV where they're like, oh, we could have like movie quality production and acting and writing if we have a budget. Yeah,
they tried to do that with dinosaurs just as far as how much money they blew into the show because they like had to get signed on for like a 6-episode deal or something because the pilot alone would have cost several million to make. So they're like, if we're going to do it, we have to just start by doing all of it. And I don't know. I guess ABC was like, all right, fuck it. We'll do a show about dinosaurs.
That I got to say, it all came, again, like I said, it all came flooding back to me when I watched this episode. The what do you call it? Like the intro, the obviously before the episode, whatever you call that, the intro to the episode with the theme song is so bad. It's like dinosaur tail, dinosaur hands knocking over tree. Like what a bad intro. Like this tells me nothing. Like, come on.
Yeah. It does like that for like 30 seconds. I think it's supposed to like, I guess their idea was like, oh, this is going to be a big, bad, scary dinosaur show.
Yeah.
And then he's like, honey, I'm home.
Yeah.
It's our theme song on Sinclairity is a ska cover of that theme song.
Surprise.
That's
I just
hilarious.
went to our friend. I was like, I'll give you $200 if you just make a ska punk cover of this song. And then me and Tim say like, honey, we're home on top of it. And it's great.
Yeah. So
So
go ahead with
What,
the info.
yeah,
Ben, on
yes,
this episode.
Unmarried with Children from November 13th, 1991. So like 29 years ago, last month, which is wild. So I was 1 when this episode came out, and Tim has mused that I was inside baby, like I was playing. But I was talking recently. I want to blow up by like pretending that I was a child star that like people like I would like I was the kid from Bad Santa, like just see if I can just get away with it.
You ever seen the Nirvana cover, the album? That's me on the cover. I'm the dollar bill.
That's me in the spotlight.
I was about to make that REM joke.
This one was written by David A. Kaplan and Brian LePan, and they've written like 2 before. We're pretty sure they're just one guy who just like came up with 2 fake names for himself because the names are too similar to me.
Kaplan and LePan sounds like a law firm from the producers or something. Like definitely a Mel Brooks creation.
I like Captain and Tennille. That's what
Pat and Oswalt. That's what I think of. No. Wait, that's one guy. So those guys like worked on like George Lopez show and Roseanne and Sinbad show, and they write like they were also work on like the 2015 series The Muppets, which is that the one that's like The Office.
is
I
my
think
favorite.
so. Yeah.
That one's good.
I
I
never
started watching
saw
that
it.
recently.
You know, I never even thought about Earl is basically John Goodman, like the same wardrobe,
Same outfit.
Yeah.
Dan Connor.
Yeah.
He's the Roseanne and Dan all rolled into one with a little bit of Tom Arnold, just a little bit, just enough. And this one's directed by this guy Tom Trivovic, which I have no idea if I'm ever pronouncing his last name right because it's like 20 consonants and one vowel. I need more money to buy more vowels for this guy's name, but he's like a main player. He directs most of these episodes so far. And the summary for this episode is Earl and Fran's marriage license expires. When Earl bungles the renewal test by displaying complete ignorance of the details of his marriage, Fran considers not picking up Earl's option. Earl is forced to move in with Roy, while the Sinclair's new next-door neighbor Monica, a brontosaurus and the first divorced female in history, shows Fran that the single life has possibilities. Possibilities.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what we do here, I assume you probably haven't had time to listen to Sinclairity to get an idea of how the podcast goes.
I have not, but I've heard other podcasts before, so I hopefully can adapt.
Basically, we're just gonna like kind of go like scene by scene, kind of, and
We're essentially exactly like the Adam Carolla podcast.
Hold up, I'm so sorry. Sorry, I can't handle this. So this is a review podcast. We're gonna go scene by scene and like review it.
basically,
we'll like
Guys, slow down.
yeah.
Slow down.
Hold on, let me explain
I'm
it.
so
in
sorry.
layman's terms.
I'm so sorry. Can we stop the recording? I don't know what's happening. We're gonna review. So I watched this thing and we're gonna review it. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm being a total asshole. I'm just joking.
I was worried that Tim wasn't going to pick up on the social nuances of that situation and just be like, worried that you really didn't get it, and then we're going to have to.
we're actually gonna take each scene, we're gonna pick it apart, and just
We're just gonna. What we do here is we don't watch the episode. We trick a guest host into coming on, and then we talk about the show Scrubs for 8 hours.
Honestly, that would be brilliant.
We are talking about our next podcast. This is going to be called No Scrubs, and each episode is named after an episode of Scrubs that we did not watch for that day. And so yeah, essentially. So how does this episode start, Timmy?
So we open with the Sinclair living room, and it's like a guy's night or a guy's day, and
A literal man
Earl,
cave.
Baby,
Yeah.
Uncle Roy, one of his coworkers who we don't know the name of yet, and Robbie are all watching boxing. It's not wrestling, it's boxing.
Oh, it's boxing.
Yeah.
Then why didn't he eat off his ear instead of his arm?
It's because there's clearly like some kind of rules going on,
Really?
you know? Like it's not like wrestling where it's
That also
lawless.
might have been that also might have been pre-ear bite.
yeah.
Oh, that's I wouldn't even know that. I was pre ear bite myself.
Ear bite might have been like 94 or something, and this might have been like 93.
I can't believe the O.J. Simpson trial like overshadowed that a year later. Like the ear bite should have been the thing that every day on the news we just watch the ear bite trial.
We as a nation owe Evander Holyfield an apology, because I should have. we all should have just been like, this guy should never enter boxing again, and we just let him box again.
Yeah, for sure. We let him be in the Hangover movie. It was too much.
So yeah, so like all the guys are watching it, and they're drinking beer, and Earl like takes a sip of beer and he like belches, and then they kind of just go all around of everyone belching.
Yeah, just dudes being dudes. You've been there, right? This is what guys do,
This
right?
I don't know what the early 90s, for whatever reason, I don't know what was going on in society, but I feel like this was that totally captured the humor of the like 92, 93, which is like man burping and then scratching his crotch, and then or like Tim the Toolman Taylor being like, oh, more power, like just like this toxic masculinity that everyone celebrated and laughed at. Like it just sucks. It just sucks. It just sucks so bad.
It's terrible.
And when the baby can't burp, I feel like the neighbor or the uncle or someone is like, oh, he's gonna be a costume designer, or there's some joke where it's I'm like, what
Yeah,
the
fall
fuck
fashions.
is that? Like,
Fall fashions.
yeah,
and
he's gonna
collecting
design fall
stamps.
fashions. I'm like,
It's
that rules. I hope that baby designs fall
for
fashion.
sure. That's a reputable career. That's better than pushing over trees.
Yeah.
Like I don't even understand the.
Yeah, and then but I do like it when he is like riffing on the baby. Robbie comes to like his defense. He's like, "Hey man, that's my baby brother."
Yeah.
I think my favorite part of the scene is in the boxing match when Earl's just like, use your right, or whatever. Then he gets his right arm bit off. He's like, use your left. Like, I'm glad that he knows what would be next if he lost one of two arms.
I couldn't enjoy that moment because I could see whoever wrote that joke just like getting a smug fucking smirk across their face, and I'm like, I refuse to enjoy this punchline.
Then how do you do a riddle podcast
Yeah.
where every time you read a riddle, you're just like, this motherfucker?
So smug.
So baby burps with the help of Robbie because he like whacks him with his tail.
Yeah, that's how everybody burps. I'm pretty sure that's normal.
Yeah,
That is, I feel like that's good writing to be like, oh, the baby doesn't burp because you have to burp a baby. You have to pat it on its back.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was like a subtle sort of like, oh, that's clever. Like I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so from there we cut to Fran and Charlene in the kitchen, and they're like preparing stuff for all the men, and Charlene's complaining about the men because they're gross.
This is every group chat I'm in is discussing why men are gross. Is it nature or nurture? It's definitely society inflicted.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fran says the whole thing about like, they really like hone in on it by like hanging out together until they get to that maximum grossness.
Is this the part where Charlene says, no, never mind. That's later. So Charlene looks out the window. She's like, oh, there's a brontosaurus next door. And, I guess she's the realtor.
There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden she comes to the door and we meet, Monica.
This is a crazy puppet. Like I can't I love this long neck puppet. It has to be so ridiculous to operate it.
Truly breathtaking. Like I gasped when the puppet came in through the window, where I was like, if this was like a live show at like Disney World or something, I would be flipping out, being like, this is so cool.
I saw a picture of like Monica from outside of the house, like the rest of her body. I'm sure they use like little toys to recreate it, but it's just ridiculous. She's the size of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, she comes in and she's like, oh, hi. And then she's like, oh, you have lovely earrings, Charlene. Does she make a joke about wearing the earrings?
She says like, you're young and you could try things.
She said like I can't pull them off or something. I love here's maybe the one joke I enjoyed in this whole episode was when what's the mom's Charlene?
Fran.
The mom's Fran.
When Fran is like, I'm putting on coffee, and she makes her coffee and she goes, do you want cream, sugar? And Monica the brontosaurus goes, a straw. And I'm like, that's fantastic. That's phenomenal. Like that to me was like snappy writing.
Yeah, that seems like possible ad lib on set from the puppeteer being like, have her say a straw because this is how she's supposed to drink this shit.
Yeah. And then I just like it how she's like discussing her job or whatever, and then Monica's just immediately, because Fran asks her like, oh, do you have a husband? And she's like, I don't have a husband.
They wonder if he died, if he's in the tar pit, or
Yeah.
It's the first divorced dinosaur. This is big.
I know.
Dinosaurs have only been civilized like 40 years or something like that. We haven't really figured it out because the show really plays fast and loose with their Bible. We can't really nail it, but it seems like these are the first like married families with the first kids that they didn't eat.
Yeah, like the way like Earl is always presented is that he's like the first dinosaur to like get married and have kids, basically. Like,
I mean, his social security number is 18. We learned, so it's pretty nice.
It is funny that they left room for, instead of just saying my social security number is 18, he goes, oh, my social security number 0000018, and it's like, oh, so they know there's going to be millions more.
yeah.
Your Earl impression sounds like Donald Trump. It's great.
Tremendous
They're
dinosaur.
indiscernible characters.
We have the best dinosaurs.
I'm the Megalosaurus.
Megalosaurus, please.
I also like when Monica comes in and she's like, oh, what a beautiful kitchen. She's like, oh, dirt walls. but it's so hard to keep clean.
Yeah, Monica is the best character in this episode, and she also gets all the best jokes.
For sure.
Yeah.
She's played by Susie Plaxon, who is Marshall Erickson's mom in How I Met Your Mother. Which is a show I haven't seen in a while. That's Jason Segel.
Oh,
his
gotcha.
mom.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I remember that character being entertaining. That was a show that I liked at the time, but now when I rewatch it, I realize they kind of just say slut every 2 minutes.
Oh, really?
It's super awkward.
Yikes.
Yeah, but I like Jason Segel, so I like to watch him do things. But like other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, but so when they ask Monica about her divorce, she's like, "Oh, I did, every 20 years your marriage license is up." It's just like
you gotta send in $40.
And she just decided not to renew it because she wasn't happy.
Yeah.
So do they ever? You guys would know better than I do. Do they in this world use dollar bills as currency? Because when Monica said bucks, I was like, oh, they must use cash as a system. But then they never show any sort of transaction or anything. So I'm like, do they use like bills? Okay.
There's an episode where
like,
it just came out a couple of weeks ago. There's an episode where
Tim, you gonna cry?
Earl, no, sorry.
Your voice is getting real shaky, buddy.
I'm sorry.
He's tearing up thinking about money.
Like,
there's this episode. It's just beautiful because the commerce is just.
One of our cats isn't doing too well, so I'm getting updates.
Oh no,
about
I'm
it.
so sorry. I was just joking. I didn't know you were actually emotional. I was just joking.
No.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right.
As a cat owner,
I mean, it's funny to
I
me.
can't imagine. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, but no, there's an episode where Earl discusses the value of $1 with Charlene. So there's
okay.
There is currency.
Yeah.
However, we still don't know like why he started a family because he hates his family. So we're still trying to figure that out.
We also know he makes $3.50 an hour to push down redwood trees.
Yeah.
Because they're worried there's going to be too much oxygen if they don't push them all down.
It is funny of like, yeah, in this era of sitcom, all the dads absolutely suck in terms of like they loathe their family, they suck as personalities.
Yeah.
I do feel like Dan from Roseanne is the one exception where I feel like he's a loving dad, he's patient, he's empathetic. Like John Goodman just rules in anything he does.
Yeah. It's true. I feel like that's probably the point of that show where the focal point isn't the dad, at least too. Like he's not the main character in Roseanne, so that's probably related.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just better writers, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So Monica talks about not being happy and how her husband couldn't even clean her ears. And like
it's part of the vows. You got to clean your wife's ears. I've heard wedding vows.
And then I love it too when Charlene's just like, I would never. She's like, I'd rather have someone sitting around the house not paying attention to me than having to get a job.
Feel that. No, I just like this is a great example of why men are terrible. This whole episode is because Earl comes in and is just a complete dick the whole time to Monica about like, oh, your husband let you work a real estate job, or like,
what do you do? Make him coffee? Yeah. This was the point in the show, one, where I realized how much the writing absolutely sucks. And then two, I never realized, and then I couldn't stop noticing it in this episode. And then I went back to think about Ninja Turtles, the movie that I love, and they do it all the time in there. I never realized how much when puppets are involved, or at least like full-size puppets, I never realized how much mouth sounds were involved. Because there's like 80 instances of Earl being like, and then I think back to like the Ninja Turtles movie, and like Raphael, the whole movie is like,
It's all
his
for
ad-libs.
Earl specifically. It's literally the only way they can see is if they open the mouth.
Yeah.
And like so, like Earl's character sighs all the time because otherwise the puppeteer will just fall over or something.
But I understand like sighing, but in real life, I don't know anybody who makes that many mouth noise. Like I would, if I hung out with someone and while I'm talking, they're like, I would cut and run. I have no time in my life for that many mouth sounds.
It's like
It sounds like an anxiety dream.
Mouth
like
sounds is
Yoda
also
or
the
something.
yeah. Oh yeah.
He's a puppet. This is all makes sense.
Yeah. So
We've cracked the code when
Tim Allen.
you're playing
Tim
a
Allen's
Muppet,
puppet.
you have to make mouth sounds.
Yeah.
That's what the M stands for. It's mouth sounds and puppet.
That rules.
So
So
so we cut to it's nighttime, and Earl and Fran are laying in bed together, and Fran's trying to sleep, and Earl's like, Fran, it's Thursday. It's Thursday.
this is a dark trope.
Yeah.
I don't understand. This is like the Fly the Conchords business time like song. Like they have a specific day of the week where they're like, "This is fuck night."
Yeah.
And,
And also,
must be-
I have to say, Fuck Night is my favorite Christopher Nolan movie.
the fuck night rises.
Yeah.
This isn't the dick the town deserves. It's the dick the city needs.
Yeah. And but Fran isn't in the mood because she keeps thinking about Monica and how she got divorced, and immediately Earl's just pissed. He's just like, "You mean that male hater, Monica?" Also, that's another trope in the show because they're dinosaurs. They never refer to like men and women as men and women. It's always male or female. Like,
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Interesting.
Yeah.
But you know that Earl would call them females anyway.
Oh, for
Let's
sure.
be real.
Yeah, this guy fucking sucks.
yeah.
This mouth noise motherfucker definitely would call them females.
So yeah, yeah. So she talks about how Fran talks about like being happy, and Earl's just like, he's like, so I'm married and I'm not happy.
Was marriage really like that in the early 90s? Is the whole point you just hate your spouse? I don't get it.
And just billions and billions and billions of dollars were made off of a schlubby husband who's married to someone who's outside of his league, who he loathes, and he's incompetent and unemotional, and I don't know what. And obviously that stemmed from somewhere. Like obviously those men and those husbands do exist, but it just sucks to like. It's like even if they exist,
work in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's like, why do we have to see this reflected back so hard?
Yeah. So
I'm just glad that you agree with us that Fran is a dime piece.
Oh yeah. Oh, Fran. I mean, Fran is rules the show. Like, she's the only redeeming quality.
those
she's
thighs.
she's voiced by she's voiced by Lucille Bluth. I can't remember her name right now.
Is she?
But it's
Oh, is that really?
Lucille Bluth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no
it's
idea.
Lucille
That's
Bluth.
outstanding. Is she one of the? I can't even remember the names. Is she one of the dinosaurs where they like use they have like the crown and they ram their heads against each other? Is she one of those, or what is she?
She's an
She's an
Allosaurus.
Allosaurus.
Allosaurus. Okay.
Yeah.
And Earl's a T-Rex.
No.
And then the kid.
Essentially, it's a megalosaurus, which is
Oh, okay.
it's similar.
Okay. And then what are the kids? Just
Dilophosaurus and a Protoceratops, and then baby is a megalosaurus also.
okay.
And so is Ethel.
I don't.
think.
Did they all just find each other? Like, it doesn't.
Yeah,
the
it's-
evolution makes no
We were
sense in this
discussing
family.
this already. It's like a weird interspecies family going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If the writers weren't cowards, they would have made one of the main characters like a Stegosaurus and just had to deal with that, or a raptor who's like just murdering.
Yeah, the grandma was going to be a pterodactyl that hung upside down in the closet, but they could not. It was too much work.
That would have been
And, like,
outstanding.
I know. It would have been a great. Like, she was going to have a whole bunch of jewelry dangling
Oh,
from her
man.
upside down.
The writers of this
I would've
show,
loved that
if
puppet.
they are cowards. The writers of Dinosaurs are cowards. If they had any edgy sense of humor, they would have every episode there would have been an Amber Alert, all kinds of fun jokes like that. Let's reboot Dinosaurs.
We've
put-
already pitched.
I love
we've
Amber
already
Alert
pitched
jokes.
our reboots in an older episode.
Yeah, it's the only episode where there's one where we actually act out scenes, which is probably my fault because I listen to Hey Riddle Riddle too much. But
I'm so sorry.
Tim was talking about pitching an idea, and I was like, nope, I'm a Hollywood exec. Come in my office. So we did a whole scene.
Get in my office. Gun, badge, script on my desk.
Yeah, I just kept doing fake cocaine throughout the whole scene. It was fun.
Focane, we call that.
Yeah, cocaine.
So yeah,
ABC, if you're listening, I would love to head up a reboot of Dinosaurs.
so
I would love to be assigned it.
So Earl freaks out, and he's just like, that Monica the marriage killer, and he's just like, now no one can have Thursday nights, and he storms out. He storms out of the room.
No Thursday nights for anyone.
Yeah, and
I wish this would have splintered off into a story about Fran falling in love with Monica. That would have been way better.
Oh, that's the reboot. That's the reboot.
That's my fanfic. No.
Franfic, please.
Yeah,
Yeah, Franfic. Our Patreon will be called Only Frans, obviously.
That rules. Sign me up. Take my money.
So they argue down into the living room, and they wake up the kids, and they're like, "Mom and Dad, is everything okay?" And he starts saying that, like, Fran's going crazy, and like, and then Charlene picks her dad's side, like she agrees with her dad, and then Robbie, of course, he sides with his mom, which Earl already predicts. He's like, "Of course you do."
What does he say?
Robbie's the voice of reason in the show.
Yeah.
Earl says something like, "We can't even get gender wars right," or something.
which Tim accidentally referred to as race wars before the episode.
Oh no!
And I was like,
We can't.
I was like, they are all different species.
We can't even get the race wars right.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So
yeah, so Robbie's a little feminist. He's cute, but Charlene is very into. She wants somebody to be pampering her and taking care of her.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Earl just like talks, like calls Robbie like a tradition butcher. Like he always hates traditions. And and then Robbie,
well, he has a fucking mohawk.
And then Robbie's just like, "Well, it's just a piece of paper." And Earl's like, "No, it's not. It's a sacred document on the sacred bookshelf."
That he uses to hold up like the TV stand or something to balance something.
Yeah, I don't know what fucking papyrus they're using, but no crumpled up paper would hold up anything in my house.
It had to be a concrete slab, I would assume.
Yeah.
I don't know what they use in this show. There's a little bit of like Flintstonian, like It's a Living type shit that happens throughout the show with like there's like little creatures in the refrigerator.
Oh yeah, my favorite visual parts were Monica whenever they opened it. I remembered suddenly it flashed back to me whenever they open the refrigerator door, the little arms come out. That's like a constant runner, right?
Yeah.
I love that. And then I'm sure Tim will get to it, but the pre-made meal that talks to you while you cook it was so fucking good. I love that.
That was very like Hitchhiker's Guide with like the cow that serves itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the pig, Ben.
I called it a pig, and then I got corrected and was told it's a cow, and I'm going to assume that whoever corrected... I'm not going to reread it. I've read it before. It was great.
So in the morning, after they realize that their marriage license is expired, they go to the Department of Marriage. Was it marriage? It's DMV, but
Vows.
Yeah,
vows.
Yeah. And
vehicles, the Department of Marriage Vehicles.
That's a minivan.
A minivan.
Right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so they go to the counter, and me and Ben will get this just because, but they reuse a lot of the puppets in this show. So
I didn't even notice.
So the guy who works at the counter, who works at the DMV, he was in an episode we already did. He's like the job wizard. So like he's like multiple characters, but they use a different voice actor every time. So like,
it makes sense if in this world there's only 18 people with social security numbers. It makes sense that they'd wear many hats.
Yeah, it's like Star Wars, where there's a huge universe, but there's only like 10 characters.
That's all you need, baby. The last episode with him was Jason Alexander, but this one it's this guy who the only thing I know that he does is he voices the principal in Hey Arnold, but I can't really see much else on him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he lives a great life. I didn't mean to reduce his life into that sentence, but still.
But
so they go to the DMV and they have to like turn in the right colored forms and
yeah, he asked for Earl's social security number, which Ben already mentioned, but I thought that part was funny.
18.
The part that's not funny is the forms are color coded, and she's like, "Did you fill out the right one?" And he goes, "I'm supposed to fill out the tangerine one. I've never even eaten a tangerine. How do I know what it looks like? Why can't they have meat colored forms?" And I feel like that was I don't know. I can't help but picture like the writing process, and I picture like a room full of like 35-year-old white male writers, and one of them pitches that, and the whole room like applauds, and then they like somebody gets up on the table and does the worm, and then they all do like Jaeger shots. And
did that guy say meat? Oh my god,
meat colored, yes, dude, Tony, you got to put that in the script.
So yeah, so to figure out, like, basically Earl has to figure out who his wife is. So he makes him cover his eye, and then they do like a police lineup of
drawings, not even of real dinosaurs. I bet they almost had real costumes and the budget wouldn't call for it. So they're like, just fucking paint a dinosaur on the wall. Like, it's Earl. We know he can't discern.
Yeah. So he's like going down the lineup, and he's like, he's like, I don't know, is that you, Fran? And like every single one except for Fran, even the small little Triceratops lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she has to like throw something at him so he knows it's her. And then Bob explains the process to Earl, and Earl's just like, oh, it sounds like a game show. And since this is a sitcom, it has to do like the whole, oh, we don't play games here. And then the scene cuts to them playing like the date or like the newlywed game type thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he fails miserably. He's awful.
Fran wore something that had great sentimental value to her, and it was deodorant.
Pudding,
like, okay,
pudding snacks. Those.
It doesn't even tell us what that question was, but her answer was the birth of our first child. So, pudding snacks. It like her like I don't even know what that question. It would have been the same question. I don't know.
The question was, what has Bill Cosby ruined for you?
Oh,
for Earl, it was pudding snacks, and for Fran, it was the birth of her first child.
That has so many dark implications.
It's so weird to watch a show where you're actively rooting against the main relationship, where it's
it's like dump him.
Yeah,
dump him.
It's like I want this marriage to fail, please.
Yeah, it already failed.
Yeah.
They're just like
going through the motions.
Stay together for the kids.
Yes. Earl failed. He gets all 20 questions wrong, which when they originally got married, he got all of them right. And his defense was, well, she was so much more interesting back then. Oh, God.
That's, he as if all he does all day is push over trees and, make jokes about things being feminine. I don't really know if he's changed too much in a positive way. So
he fails, and we come the next morning, and Fran is in the kitchen. And Earl comes in, and he's got his other flannel shirt on a hanger. He's like, all right, I'm all packed. I'm ready to move out.
I love, there's like a Doug Funny's closet full of the same episodes type joke. There's consistent things where Earl, can't decide what to wear, and he just has, the same shirt over and over again. Charlene's, the only one that changes up. She actually has, a fashion, a wardrobe.
I can't,
which is fun to watch.
I can't poke fun because my closet is exclusively plaid and flannel, so I can't really partake in this burning down of his wardrobe.
Yeah, all of my winter clothes are flannels and one hoodie, and then every other season it's all just solid colored t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
I do have 2 Hey Riddle shirts, and I had to make sure that was not in my rotation today, just so I wasn't embarrassed about it.
Aw, I would have loved that.
I have the Kevin and Susie's and Riddy's and Puzzy's shirt.
Oh yeah,
and the logo shirt.
that rules. I think I have one of every shirt just because we get free merch when we make it, so I'm like, why would I not own every shirt? But then when people
obviously
when listeners see me wearing the clothes, they're like, oh, wearing your own show, isn't that gauche? And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just lazy. I'm not self-centered, I'm lazy.
You're not an Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
So Earl is just complaining that they're not really not married anymore, they're not really separated,
It's technicality.
Yeah, so and then Fran's just like, okay, then what's my middle name? And he's got no answer. So he's like, all right, I'm gonna go. And then she's like, well, what about the kids? He's like, wait, I know this.
Wait, I think he does. I think he does have an answer to what her middle name is, and I think it's
It's not just a bunch of vowels.
Yeah. Sometimes what?
Yeah. So then they like approach the kids, like they're gonna talk to them like adults or whatever, and I love it. They sit them down. And like immediately, Charlene's just like, "I want therapy," and then Robbie's just like, "We're part of a broken home."
So Tim's parents are still together, which is cute.
Aww.
I don't. Yeah, I know it's adorable. And then obviously I'm normal, so my parents aren't together.
Same.
And but I feel like I was 5 and I didn't have the same response that these kids are about to have throughout. Actually, now that I play back my life in its entirety, yeah, I did. Just not, I didn't realize it.
Yeah, when my parents got divorced, I must have been 10 or 11. It's probably around the time of Dinosaurs coming out. But I instead of rebelling, I just completely turned inward. So yeah, I simply retreated to my mind palace
In the drawing room.
Yes.
Yeah. So when Earl is just like, when he's talking about how the kids are going to be upset, he's like, "How is anyone happy about this?" And then enter Grandma Ethel, who comes riding in with the fucking party hat on, and she's singing a great song
About my daughter's free from Fat Boy. She has a yellow balloon and sparkler tied to a baton, and she has wine and flowers. Her whole like puppetry thing is just fascinating. This motorized like wheelchair situation.
Yeah.
It has to be motorized.
How big of a part of the show is she? Because in this episode, she literally did like a walk. She literally did a run across where she was screaming and then was gone.
There's a few.
I would love to say
episodes
that was her first appearance. But
yeah. There's a few episodes where she does that.
Yeah, I thought she lived with them at first, but I think she might not. I think she just visits them a lot.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But she is a pretty big player, like in an earlier episode.
She's a player.
Yeah. But
because she's the first dinosaur to not be thrown into the tar pit at age 72 when they become useless.
Is that really a thing?
Yeah.
That's like some Midsummer shit. Wow.
Yeah,
That's wild.
Exactly.
Wait, is Midsummer a remake of Dinosaurs?
It might be.
It's a remake of Midsummer Night's Dream. It's literally the same age though in Midsummer. It's 72, which I thought was really bizarre.
That must be
Like,
based on like a real thing.
Or just the guy was making what's the guy's name who made that movie?
Oh,
I feel like
I forget his name.
he was just watching dinosaurs and was like, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna put this shit in this movie. That people, there's so much symbology and like rewatch potential of that movie, and one thing he's just like, Sinclair, it's just gonna throw it in.
Isn't it just Throw Mama from the Train or whatever that movie is?
Was she 72 in that?
But,
no, I just saw that movie recently.
Yeah, so Earl goes and he's gonna go stay with Roy, but we cut to he's at work and the bell goes off for them to clock out, and his two coworkers are like, "Oh, it's 5:00. You know what that means? The Tiki Lounge." And
I was over the goddamn moon that they set something in a tiki bar. I am obsessed with tiki bars. So when I saw that, I was
really?
like, "Oh, this absolutely rules!" That there's Polynesian culture in or appropriation. There's Polynesian appropriation in the prehistoric times.
Yeah.
well, being from Florida,
I mean, they did
I'm
it
an
first.
expert.
It's 6 million.
Yeah.
It's 60 million years ago. So that's definitely they started it. Dinosaurs started it.
I also love that Fran goes to a tiki bar and orders a white wine spritzer. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing here?
Is that with a C?
Yeah. So this is Ben's favorite scene in probably the history of the show.
Well, obviously, because I ship Roy and Earl.
Yeah. So Earl's trying to cheer up. He's trying to cheer up Earl, and he's like, "Oh, this is the exciting part, you know? It's like you get to meet new girls with low self-esteem." And he just starts talking to him like he's like, "All right, pretend I'm a." He's like, "I'm gonna pretend you're a girl," and Earl's like, "Well, first of all, I'm a guy."
Calls him Pally Girl instead of Pally Boy from now on.
Pally girl.
I just he like hasn't even like Earl's like, no, I'm not doing that. He's like, hey, you gotta wait to turn me down until I ask you out. And he calls him a spirited filly, which Roy, like, I liked Roy the first couple episodes he's in, but then every now and then he's just very gross.
Yeah, Roy sucks.
He like catcalls Earl's 12-year-old daughter. It's like the grossest thing.
Oh no.
Dinosaur calls.
Yeah.
Well, later in the episode, 3 sailors show up to like fuck her, and it's like,
what? Yeah.
Like, what are we doing?
First of all, sailors are canonically gay in real life, so it wouldn't be happening. I think were those like hand puppets, by the way, when they show up, the sailors, because they look like really sloppily done. Okay, that makes sense.
The sailors, and then the creature that's in that like frozen meal that cooks itself or talks to you while you cook it. Those seem the most like old school Muppety. Where I was like, those seem like actual like Muppet characters.
Oh yeah, I love it when little creatures get involved in the episode. Like the food comes out in a recent episode and like attacks them, and it's like the Muppet. It's very like labyrinthy. It's great.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
But so yeah, we get back home now because Roy says he's got some books that he'll show Earl about picking up chicks, and like Earl's like, well, you got to buy me dinner if you're taking me home. But we go back to Fran and Monica, and Fran has a companion cuisine, which we talked about earlier.
So great. So this
keeps you
moment
company
is
until you eat it.
Outstanding moment.
Yeah. And I like how like when that scene does conclude later, it's like Baby decides he's gonna eat it.
Well, this is like one of my favorite. This is like my favorite scene, I think. So she's
too much.
She's like, Fran is talking to Monica, you know, about how she's worried about the kids. She misses Earl, first of all, which I don't know why. And she's worried about the kids, and Monica's like, well, you know, they're a product of a broken home. And then, so out of nowhere, Robbie pulls up on his fucking motorcycle.
It's wild. It's wild that he's writing something that's full of the blood of his ancestors.
We just discussed this.
I bring this up. I'm like, is it human?
Yeah.
Like, how do they like fuel their shit? Yeah. Like, I expected to be like Flintstonesy and like just walking.
Yeah,
but no.
It's oil.
I haven't
gasoline,
seen Cars yet, but yeah. It's just they literally just a dinosaur dies and they just like fill her up, Tony.
I have to. Tim, moments ago you said you don't know why Fran wants to take Earl back or get back with Earl. I have to now believe that the Dixie Chick song is about dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I think goodbye. Yeah.
If you think that hasn't come up before.
Oh, are you serious? That's fantastic.
Yeah. Goodbye Earl is I've done a few like goofy like I did a Kids Bop version of the Joker recently in an episode. You know, I'm a Joker, I'm a smoker,
yeah.
And I had actual kids that my roommate's kids sing for it. Yeah. And so there's definitely plans for a Goodbye Earl parody in the future.
So it's so Robbie,
too on the nose. I love it.
Robbie comes in. He's got a New York accent. He's smoking a cigarette. He smokes the cigarette, which is great puppeteering because they just had to have smoke billow out of his mouth.
That's fun. Yeah, that's like a fucking Carrot Top gag.
Robbie becomes Marlon Brando, and the daughter becomes Madonna.
Yeah.
Yes.
He smokes a cigarette, puts it down. He steps on it. He's like, "Don't worry, Ma. I'm just here for a beer, and then I gotta go to the mud wrestling palace." Hose down.
Yeah, he's got a hose off. Yeah, and then the Navy guys show up to fuck Charlene for some reason.
Hey, is Charlene here?
Just to pause it, 16 and 14 are the ages from male to female in this family. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like I'm very sex positive, so I was like, cool, you do you, and then I was like, wait, I don't even know how old she's supposed to be. This may not be.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, thank you.
She just got her tail, so.
Yeah.
She just got her tail. Tails are breasts in this show for some reason.
Are you serious?
It's really
Oh no! Why can't tails be butts?
I don't know. Just let tails be tails. Like there's no. That's what I say every time I watch Sonic. Just let tails be tails.
Yeah. So Fran yells at both of them and just like, "You're not going anywhere. It's a school night." So she's like, "You go to your room." The sailors leave.
Did your mom ever not let you fuck sailors on school nights? My mom was always like, "You can't fuck sailors on school nights." It sucked.
The sailors too were just like, "Oh, wrong house. Let's go find Trixie. I'll get the hose."
Oh my god.
What do we think dinosaurs learn in school? Because there's no history.
They dissect cavemen in one episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually great.
And there's
There's
another episode where Robbie has to write a paper about why dinosaurs rule the earth. It's because they're big.
essentially.
So after she dismisses them, baby, this is the part where baby is like, they have, because Monica mentions like they have no male, like they don't have
male role model.
Yeah, they don't have a male role model in the house, and so baby's putting on lipstick. It says, "Buy me a dress,"
which is like, I think it's like, yas, like go baby.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
I think that would be amazing if for the rest of the series he just always had lipstick on.
Yeah, for one, like I always forget that it's supposed to be a boy because it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah,
it's a baby.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've discussed making baby, like just declaring that baby is non-binary, because
Yeah, baby non-binary. I love it. He's gender fluid for sure.
Yeah. So,
but now what do we go back to the Tiki Lounge?
Yeah,
or we
Monica,
go to the Meteor Tiki Lounge?
Yeah, Monica gets Fran to go out for like an hour, and they go, and Earl and Roy are already there. And Roy is like still trying to get. He's just like, so what do you find attractive in the fair sex? He's like, I'm a neck guy.
I'm grossed out by him being a neck guy for some reason.
I feel like that's like a John Wayne Gacy answer. Like,
Yeah. Kind of a neck guy.
Yeah.
That's like on John Wayne Gacy's Tinder.
His story's great though. When he starts telling his story, he's like, oh, I dated this girl in high school, and we took out daddy's convertible.
She had the longest neck in school. Imagine telling a story like this to anyone where like, dude, this chick, she had the longest neck in school.
I like thick neck, and I cannot lie.
Yeah. There's another cover you can do, Ben. And,
I'm just thinking of like long necks from Land Before Time. That's what Littlefoot is.
yeah. So while they're talking about it, Earl notices Fran and Monica come in, and Roy sees Monica, and he's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "Oh!" He's like, "Go get a ladder."
Go get a mop and a bucket. Yeah, so he goes over, and then that little the turtle puss dinosaur, that guy's name is Turtle Puss. It's one of their
Mr.
coworkers.
Turtlepuss. Yeah.
Yeah, and Roy, out machos him for a second, just with the greatest yell, which his yell is like, ah, like he sounds like Ray Romano coming. It's a nightmare.
Deborah! I think I'm gonna Deborah.
But you're a Republican.
Everybody loves bukkake.
God, the first time I met my ex's family, we were playing Cards Against Humanity, and somebody played bukkake, and her uncle turned to me and was like, "What does that mean, Ben? Do you know what bukkake means?" I was like, "I'm leaving forever."
I would have immediately been like, it's like Godzilla's little brother. Like, I would have just like made it some fantasy creature or something.
That would have been like Tim's
Yeah,
answer, because
yeah.
he's really into Godzilla.
Yeah.
Godzilla is a character in this show, by the
Yeah.
way.
Are you serious?
He's a celebrity.
Yeah, he's an actor.
He's a
Well,
celebrity.
the opening scene with the wrestling, that's kind of a homage to old what's his name, right? The sort of stop motion Jason and Argonauts kind of thing, right?
Yeah,
And
they
was it-
use like that old like stock
And-
footage. It's not really stock footage, but yeah.
And wasn't Godzilla kind of shot like that as well, the original, or maybe not?
No, it was a
don't
guy
know.
in a suit. So
Oh, okay.
I think that's why
Was it
the
really?
joke is that he's a celebrity, because Godzilla was a guy, in a, suit, and they're
Gotcha,
they're
gotcha.
people in
That's
suits.
interesting.
Yeah. I do like also another wrestling callback when Monica refers to Roy as Mr. Macho, and he's like, "Well, you could be Mrs. Macho." So all I could think of was Miss Elizabeth from
Macho
Macho
Man.
Man.
That rules.
And then I cry.
So Earl says that his favorite type of chick is Fran types. So he goes and he's like, Monica's being taken over by Roy. So Roy's like, "Oh, well, you got something in common with the other one. It's your wife."
Yeah, so he asked her if he could buy her a drink, and she says a wine spritzer, with a C. Like you spell it with a C.
This is where we find out she's a Pisces too, which I'm just gonna start taking. I don't know anything about horoscopes, but I'm gonna learn it just so I can do all their charts. I don't believe in anything, so I might as well believe in everything. Like, I'm just gonna go for it. But yeah, so Earl starts taking notes because he's like wants to keep up with this and wants to win her back, and he tells her that he's paying attention to her now and wants to take her somewhere more romantic, which is revealed to be back at the DMV, essentially.
Yeah.
The most romantic place if comedians are to be believed.
And he gives her some ragweed instead of roses.
Yeah, the fact that they're like, check it out, they're at the DMV, like, isn't that hell? Like, this is like the worst, like 90s stand-up set. Like, early 90s stand-up was all like, you know, airline food and DMV and like, just exhausting, absolutely exhausting.
Yeah, and also one of my favorite parts about the DMV is if you look in the background, there's a sign that says marriage is not a right, it's a privilege.
I mean, for a lot of the country, it was not a right at that time.
But I just love that it's a sign in the background. And
I wish that was at the real DMV.
yeah, so
Earl fails again.
Earl fails, yeah, but he wins on a technicality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is a real Sorcerer's Stone ending. Like the fucking Slytherin, like drapes turn to Gryffindor because of like Neville Longbottom's 5 points. He's like, but we stuck together through hard times.
Yeah,
it's goofy.
So they get their license back, and Fran's like, "Oh, I'm so happy, you know. Oh, big boy. Let's pretend it's Thursday night." And Earl's like, "Oh boy, Thursday night, spaghetti night."
That for whatever reason, like, there's the scene where the daughter has the Madonna bra, like metallic bra on. There's this scene where Eddie has the Robbie has the motorcycle. There's a refrigerator. There's, you know, the coffee pots. There's all this technology. For whatever reason, the moment that irked me the most was I was like, they have Italians in this when he said like, ooh, spaghetti, I'm like, really, fucking spaghetti? Like, I don't know why that hit me so hard, but I was like, I was very turned off by that.
It also confuses me because like, is he saying that spaghetti night is what he calls sex night? Or at the beginning of the episode was he that's what good pussy sounds like? Is the spaghetti? No, that's a vine.
But was it pasta in the pot? Or
yeah. I think that or maybe at the beginning of the episode or whenever that was, he was waking her up to make spaghetti.
Oh no,
Fran, come on, go make spaghetti. It's Thursday.
Some wet ass pasta.
We'll put down a towel in case there's marinara.
Yeah,
that's the splash zone.
So yeah,
but yeah, that concludes this fucking weird ass episode.
Also,
was Robbie Andrew Dice Clay earlier? Now that I think about it. Speaking of like comedians where everybody just shouts out the joke throughout the set.
I was gonna say, in with your comment towards spaghetti, in the existence of Italy, we have tried to determine that the Sinclairs live in California. And even though it's like on the supercontinent of Pangea, and in like the first episode, Earl complains about how he's 43 and he's never been to Europe.
Jesus.
It has to be next door, right? It's Pangea. They can just go over there. Also, the period of time for each of these dinosaurs does not overlap. None of it really makes sense that they're all together. But you know, they're also people and puppets, so I guess I can't be too nitpicky about it.
That's the thing. That's the realization I came to. Is like I was upset about spaghetti, but then I was like, but I let all this other stuff go of like the jewelry and the real estate agent and the plaid shirt
food.
and all the technology,
and the fact that the Monica's was the first divorce ever in history.
And Robbie is the only one that wears shoes for some reason.
Oh, really?
That's also something I always forget about. Because they wanted to make sure we knew he looked like Sonic the Hedgehog. I feel like that was what they were going for.
Yeah, I was trying to pinpoint what the influence was, and I was like, maybe what's his name, Johnny Depp in Crybaby. Like that's where I'm like, maybe that's what they were going for with Robbie, but I couldn't quite tell.
they just don't know subcultures. I feel like it's like when they try to make a cool teenager in the early 90s,
Yeah.
they're like, all right, he plays football, he skateboards, all these things that don't go together. He has a mohawk. Like,
Yeah.
it's goofy.
So yeah, that's the episode basically.
So what'd y'all think of it?
I liked it.
Oh boy, I give it an A+ for nostalgia and like making me be like, oh shit, I feel like I'm 10 years old again. I feel like I'm back in my house in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, watching this with my family and waiting for Step by
Oh,
Step.
you're from Ohio?
I'm from Illinois, but we
Oh, okay. I'm from Ohio.
in like
kind
in
of.
14 years we moved to 12 different houses. So we were,
Oh, wow.
we lived like we were on the land.
Subtle brag.
Yeah. Tiny houses.
Must be nice.
And we owned them all.
Oh,
and we
John
still do.
Mellencamp.
Yeah. But so I give it an A+ in terms of like it was so fun to just be like, I remember watching this show. I remember this era of TV, and it really made me feel like a kid again in a delightful way. In terms of content, through my adult eyes, gotta give it a D-. D for dinosaur, but still, also in terms of the grade, it's bad. Yeah,
it's a dino eyesore.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely. I was excited to like send this one to a guest host because it was just the most ridiculous one so far. I feel like other than the one where Robbie's gay for eating vegetables.
I want that please sell that as merch. I'm gay for eating vegetables.
I did make a fake rap song against eating vegetables and posted that in one of our episodes where I'm like rapping to kids about it.
Oh, that's great.
It's a drug PSA where the guy's like, "Hey man, you want some lettuce or broccoli?" It was broccoli.
Isn't that illegal?
That's great.
What I learned from doing that PSA is when I do multiple voices, I just sound like a group of Muppets. Like I don't know how to. But it was fun. But yeah, thanks for joining us for
Thanks
this
for having me.
very special episode.
Yeah,
it was great. Do you have anything to plug before we start thanking people and whatnot?
I think you covered it. Yeah, check out Hello from the Magic Tavern. It's an improvised fantasy podcast, and then Hey Riddle Riddle is a podcast where me and two friends try and solve riddles, and then along the way we do improv, and then Sibling Speculaire, which is myself and my sister Sadia, who's wonderfully talented, and we play characters who are siblings and trying to unearth conspiracies.
I will
awesome.
say, Ben sent me like a few episodes of Hey Riddle Riddle because I had never heard it before, and he sent me the one. Was it harmonica solos? Is that the name of the episode?
2 harmonica solos.
Yeah.
I don't remember though.
Yeah, that's the one where Aaron goes crazy because of being on a riddle podcast with 2 guys for 100 and something episodes, and does the whole song, the donkey doodle. I can't do it justice.
That's
but...
great. That is something where, I mean, obviously this has changed since quarantine, but with Magic Tavern and Hey Riddle, I'll be out in public and somebody will come up to me and I don't know them, and they'll be like, "Ooh, little ground beef baby," and I'm like, "Sorry," and they're like, "Ground beef baby," and I'm like, I am calling the cops, and they're like, no, little ground beef baby, and I'm like, please, you have to say something else, and they're like, I'm a fan of your podcast, and you said this in episode 34, and I'm like, as soon as it comes out of my mouth, I never remember it. I'm so sorry.
Yep.
But it is yeah. So I can't remember any people tell me back to my face what I've said, and I'm like, surely I never said that. And I'm like, oh yeah, you did. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I said.
There was, in that episode, there was a song that was sung by Satan, and it was just like it was it was the set. It was set.
I'm stabbing Hitler.
Yeah,
that was JPC, I believe.
That shit was hilarious. Sorry.
That sounds like his brand for sure.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But anyway,
fun.
So check out all his podcasts, and thank you for listening to ours.
Yeah.
And thanks to Jeremy from Scout2 Network for doing our theme song. Thanks to Amy Shenanigans for helping me draw the logo by drawing 2 cute pictures of me and Tim, and I just drew puppets of the dinosaurs on top of it.
Amy Shenanigans?
Yeah, that's my friend who did it.
Rules. Mm-hmm. That's a phenomenal name.
And thank you to our producer and editor, Zach George, who for some reason does this even though he has a newborn baby to take care of, and we just waste his time with our bullshit.
And thank you to Kaplan and LaPaplan or whatever.
Yeah, the famous writing duo who worked for the Smothers Brothers, I'm guessing.
That fake ass name.
Yeah, so like everybody enjoy going extinct.
Yeah.
And then we'll see you next week with season 2, episode 10, How to Pick Up Girls, which our guest for next week is Aaron Keefe.
Ooh.
So
Please tell her I said hello.
I will. I'm sure you might talk to her first, but yeah.
I'm going to talk to her in about 15 minutes here.
That's awesome. So yeah, I thought that was funny how that lined up, because I believe you said yes first and then she said yes later, and I was like, all right, this is going to be a great December yes.
That's my favorite Counting Crow song.
Great December.
Yeah. Well, yeah, cool. Thanks again, and we'll talk to everyone next week.